you a cop or a model? What you talking about, man? Do something on. I like looking good. What?
I think it's no news if you've watched a few of my older videos that I have made it clear I loved action movies when I was younger. Like to the point I'd go out of my way to watch anything that had Jason Statham, Liam Neeson, and yes, I even watched those generic Bruce Willis films. Sunday night on my country's version of cable when the whole house went to bed. And although I never watched the Bad Boys film in that bracket, that being I only watched the second film and like the final 10 minutes of the first, if that counts. I did love them to some extent, and particularly that second film, reason being, as I just stated earlier. So going through each films individually, starting with
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do?
I'll keep it real with you, this is a pretty rubbish film. I mean, I should have known as soon as the film started, like, you're greeted with this. I do not get why most of the film, the color is this. But fine, okay, I get it. We're in Miami, but still, what is it with this particular color in this film? And it's also really annoying considering the fact that I watched Furiosa after. Is that unfair? Maybe a bit. Just made the aftertaste in my mouth so bitter. And I will get back to Michael Bay in a second. I don't know the right technical term to describe it. I want to say it's saturation, but I could be wrong. The color in his films just feels so unnatural and vibrant. Just has this particular tone. And I don't want to start this video off by hating him. I enjoyed most of the Transformers film. There goes all my credentials. Besides that, the film's antagonist, you guessed it, useless. Like, what is he? I understand his plan at the start and the fact that the heist is just, that's genius. Like, I was thinking to myself, why not set the whole film to be that heist, then offloading the drugs rather than the heist to happen in seconds and spend months trying to sell the drugs. But no, they went with the quick and easy way, which sets you up thinking you have this interesting guy with a master plan that kills off all his loose ends, but no, we got a doofus. Fletcher, was that his name? No, exactly, forgettable. His name was Faucher or some weird ass French name. You apparently have a mole in the police force and you don't even use that mole for information on the cops and how they're coming close to you. You just use her to get the information at the start and also to like maybe cover your tracks, or maybe she's even covering her tracks. I don't even know what she's doing. And she does a bad job at that. Like, why couldn't she just decrypt the file and then delete it? And that same bad guy cannot just kill Tia Leone's character, because honestly, keeping her hostage does no benefits for you. The cops don't even have anything you want. And the doofusy just doesn't escape the bad guys. It spreads around the whole film like a freaking cancer. Because why are the whole police department so terrible at their job? You have a key witness and you just neglect her. Like, no backup, nothing. And in that car chase, you take the van. Why the van? Don't get me started about this whole impersonation thing. It was funny that one time.
Hello? It's Mike Lowry.
He doesn't talk that way.
But after that, was it like so hard to say Will went out and he was busy and you had to protect her? I mean, you already saved her once, so why wouldn't she believe you? And okay, let's say I get with all that your BS, but why did they not just explain to Teresa? Because I was confused on the fact that she was mad. The fact that Will was in the house with her, I already thought that she was in with the whole program of them switching identities. But no, they were dumb enough not to do that as well. Just so many plot holes and dumb decisions made in this film. The film is also narratively atrocious, and it's no surprise to find out it wasn't Michael Bay's first film. I mean, props to him getting his style out there as such a rookie film director, you know, big explosion, exploiting women, but geez, poor narration in this film completely destroys it off here. And I get it, low budget and everything, but even some of the action scenes, like, what is this? See, this film is older than me, and even as I'm watching it for the first time, I can get some of the appeal, and with the same mentality, I see somewhat of it being a cult classic. Not as high up as the second, but you get me. But like as I've already mentioned with a bunch of points, this film is not good. But that Martin and Will buddy cop chemistry carried this entire film.
How things going with the kids?
So what you wearing?
Man, give me the phone. Give me the phone, baby.
She hung up. She hung up a long time ago. I was playing.
Man,
And gave Michael a career, because I'm afraid to say he might have been finished without them, going back to music videos or in a whole nother field of work. Although narratively the comedy goes a bit overboard, it's a bit hit or miss sometimes. They just work so well together, and the fact that this duo is still relevant almost 30 years later shows how much of an organic friendship can make or break a franchise.
Oh, damn. It's the Negras. Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we come for you? And that's the fact, and that's next Miss Nose, hey.
Then The Rock, Armageddon, and Pearl Harbor later, we got Michael Bay's second installment in this franchise, Bad Boys 2. And see, this entire video might sound like I'm bashing Michael Bay and everything. I grew up with the guy. I love most of his films. I'm not the biggest Michael Bay hater, and although this film is not the best action film to come out within its time frame,
One of our most impressive agents lives not far from Natalie Connors. Smart, resourceful, and according to my reports, he's quite a lady killer. We spent $10 million training this kid, and we did not teach him how to talk to a girl.
I'm so much of a sucker for this film, and the humor and dialogue between our leads work way more here.
I'm comfortable talking to you
It's got 5.1 Dolby.
about what I did to your ass, but you not getting an erection, that's a real problem for me.
As well as the action. Although really early on it becomes a bit redundant because of the same 9 minutes action scene spread throughout the film, but it was all just fun. And even in the film we continue with the host keeping secrets thing, but this time at least it makes sense. Like, we see Martin is planning to break up with Will, and as you see throughout the franchise how much Will loves this job, especially doing this body cop thing with Martin, we get why he would keep that away from him. It would crush him. And also Will dating his partner's sister. I mean, that speaks for itself. You don't want your boys finding out about that. The film also opens with two bad guys. Why are they two bad guys in this film? Like, what's the point? And I know what you might say, but couldn't they have used that guy's cousin?
But the lady at the store said I look like a model.
You're lucky. Your mother was my mother's cousins.
Instead of making two bad guys, because the Russian guy just dies and dies in such a meaningless way that adds nothing to the film. It just elongates this film that is already a bit too long. Loved him in the film though.
That sounded dirty. I would like to see how your machine works, baby. I wouldn't be. I like hip hop too.
But although he was unnecessary, he was better than what we got in the first film. And for the second guy, the second antagonist, he was pretty solid. And this time taking this character hostage now makes way more sense. And just as an overall bad guy, he was way better, and we can see more of a menacing and antagonistic bad guy. And okay, I get it, he's bigger on the food chain than the guy we got in the previous film, but we still see that he shows ambition, unlike that previous guy. And on to the technical aspects. Michael Bay again, back with his style. And okay, was this an era thing? Because I don't remember films looking back like this back then. Or is it just a thing with his films? I could be wrong. Aside that, though some of his camera work in this film is pretty cool. Although at the start, there's this one scene that had me shaking my head. Like, do helicopters move like that? But what preceded it was pretty neat. And most notably, that Spyro scene in the shootout with the Haitians was probably the most creative action sequence in this entire film, with the whole rotational panning of the camera, while they gave us some questionable line deliveries.
You got to call yourself the devil in his house. Shit.
But for characters, we had a couple returning cast members, like we get the return of Jan Sally as Fletcher, but now the Force fully hired him.
I can't work under these conditions.
I would be lying if I wasn't disappointed that we'd not get Tia Leone reappear. I know her story was basically over in the first film, but it's a shame we didn't see her in any capacity. And I'm pretty sure it was a result as Michael Bay. But hey, that's just speculation. But back again with the bromance between Will and Martin is just great as mentioned. The dialogue and chemistry between them was greatly improved from the first film, which wasn't bad on there, just that it was better here. And I think they just had more time to shine between the two of them.
Watch the spin, watch the spin. Oh, give me some.
And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, we lost Tia, but we got Gabrielle Union instead.
I'm telling mommy, okay? I'm definitely.
And although she was good in this, I don't know, maybe I'm just a bit more sentimental to Tia's performance in the last film.
Let that man go. Don't be coming at me with that comb, Mike. Freak.
The way this film ends though, with the first entire Cuba break-in plan and everything, I put this on my letterbox. Shout out my letterbox though.
What the fuck is this piece of shit?
But aside the obvious acts of terrorism that they laid across the poor bystanders of Cuba, wasn't that completely a war crime or something? I don't know the right diplomatic term. See, I'm not a political person, but a bunch of Americans shooting up any Cuban army, bribed or not, shouldn't that cause like some serious diplomatic issues? And inconsistencies and plot armor yet again with Michael Bay. They had no issue driving into that minefield. I know they also, when they ran across the minefield, they had no issue with that at first. But now that they know it's a minefield, they have lost all the ability to function.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when we come for you?
Then just under 2 decades later, we got Bad Boys for Life. And from that title, you can already tell that they did not believe this film would be successful, already throwing away the perfect For Life name out there. And every time I always plan to watch this, I just had it in the back of my mind that this was a streaming film, especially considering the fact that a few months before this film got released, Gemini Man came out. Surprised that that wasn't a streaming film as well, and it's crazy that this was actually one of the last 2020 releases before the COVID outbreak. And how lucky were they? Because this film did super well financially. But I talked about this ever so briefly in my Furiosa video, but a streaming film like this, yes, the budget isn't crazy high and it shows sometimes, but it still did almost $500 million. And considering it dropped on January 2, films back then usually stayed in theaters for a long time, so it could have done better. Just looking back at that, COVID completely destroyed the movie industry with streaming and everything. But back to the comparison with Gemini Man, this is the same film, just with that umbrella of an IP. Will Smith is in both of them. He has his younger self in both of them. Like, I was straight up getting PTSD while watching the final act of this film, but luckily this film is slightly better. That's not a huge bar to set, because Bad Boys for Life is a super average action film. And as far as the bromance between Will and Martin, although it's not atrocious, it's not bad, it's just the weakest for me personally out of the other films in the franchise. Truly what really grinds my gears about this film is this. Did you notice it? Wait, let me play it again so you can see it. I'm not a pixel peeping weirdo that always complains about CGI, but if it's bad, I'll say it's bad. And I get it, it's a PG-13 film. I don't want blood splatter, just add none. Don't add that. It's happened a couple times in the film, but what really annoys me most about this scene is because it's such an in-your-face moment and it happens quite slowly because that was real time. So the one time you think you should have that perfect gunshot CGI is this one take. But to be real with you, I was just talking about that one scene because this is a mid-action film with no heart. And as much as I always praise these type of movies, I just feel it's really rubbish here because this was done to this franchise that always had this one thing going for it. And that part was somewhat taken from the film because although you'd still get a bit of that Will Smith and Martin Lawrence bromance, it's not really the main focus of this film. It's trying to move on to the next generation. It doesn't throw it in your face as much as some other films, but like it's still trying to do that. But yeah, that's just my opinion of the Bad Boys film. It sounds like I'm just yapping and destroying them. I still like them. I like the first two. The third one, it's good, but I just don't like them as much as the first two. I don't know. Thank you for watching my video. Have a good day. Peace.
I blow you, then I blow you. Blow me? What the fuck now?